me officially kick off the 2009 Fast Track to Success Copywriting Boot Camp and Job Fair with one of my most favorite people in the world. He's right here. Wait, I haven't started yet. I haven't. He may be the best known direct response writer and consultant in the world. He's definitely the most charming. Herschel Gordon Lewis is the author or co-author of more than 30 books on direct marketing, including Creative Rules for the 21st Century. He contributes regularly to Direct Marketing Magazine, the Nonprofit Times, Multi-Channel Merchant, and many other marketing publications. He's always one of our most popular speakers. I have the very good fortune of having lunch at least once a year with Herschel and his wife Margot. Without fail, at some point during our time together, as I'm asking him for war stories from his years in the direct response trenches, he'll exclaim, "I love this business." That love for this business, we're all in, will be evident to you tonight. So please, help me kick off your Fast Track to Success boot camp with a resounding welcome to copywriting master Herschel Gordon Lewis.
You might not be so complimentary when you realize we're all competitors here. I'm up here rather than over there because I had a war accident, as you can see. This is in case somebody wants to compete with me for a copywriting job. It happened on the tennis court about 2 weeks ago. And the one thing you know, if you hurt yourself on the tennis court in the middle of a point, you immediately yell, "Out!" But by that time, the damage had been done, but nothing was going to keep me away from here tonight. Now, as you see on the screens here, we have a rather obfuscatory title, Easy Keys for Overcoming Automatic Click-Outs and Shortened Attention Spans. And before I even get into this, there's one thing we all do realize. We are at the end of the year 2009. We are approaching the year 2010. And what has happened to what we laughingly call organized society in the last few years is that attention spans have shrunk. We are at the mercy of this merciless new medium, the World Wide Web, which has really usurped our profession, if nothing else. And we either have to be both aware and capable, or we get some other job selling shoes at Walmart. All right, underway. As I was saying, all right. These are the trends for the 21st century, and if you're still locked in the 20th century, I pity you, because you are woefully behind the times. In the 21st century, and all of these things, as you will see, are quite logical and also easy to conquer. We have increasing informality. We write the way people talk. We also have increasingly emphatic persuasion. We have to make certain they understand the logic behind our sales argument. We have inclusion of validation. Those people out there don't believe us. If they see it, if they hear it, if they're part of it, they don't believe us because there are so many phonies out there who aren't as legitimate as we are. Is that possible? And the promise of fast action. I got an email, and it was for nothing. It's custom built. It's an ordinary item, and it said allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. I said, what planet are these people from? Don't they know where we are and who we are? The internet is primarily responsible for all 4 of those trends. They apply to both email and website copy, and they have bled over to newspapers and magazines and direct mail. Note, please, the dynamics of email and website differ. They are not the same. It's not the same copy for the two. They are 2 different media. By the way, please understand, because this annoys me. Media is plural. Medium is singular. So when I see somebody say, this media is, I say that person is not literate, therefore I hope he or she is my competitor. They differ because email arrives unannounced and website copy usually is the result of a search mechanism. It's as simple as that. So now in addition to that problem, we have tough times. Everybody knows we're in the middle of it. The newspapers are full of it. The late newscasts on TV are full of it. We acknowledge that. How do we compete in tough times? First of all, we acknowledge it's there. We don't skate across it saying, no, it doesn't exist. Second, we emphasize our own sincerity and that marvelous word that describes the difference between a phony and what appears to be a sincere offer, rapport, the arm around the shoulder. And we wallow in statesmanship. You don't have to give up your lifestyle. And fourth, we specify apparent proof. As I said, they don't believe us. Yes, they will believe us because we have supplied what appears to be proof. Notice that word, apparent proof, because total proof may bite us. It could suppress response. We do not want to suppress response. We want to enhance response. And that's why when two writers get the same assignment as a test, and one of them is going to survive, the one who does these 4 items is most likely to generate the most response. And that's how we keep score. We don't keep score by the number of art directors awards that somebody might win. We keep score by the number of times the cash register or the telephone will ring. Prospective buyers, by the way, always will interpret an unclear statement in a way that's most beneficial to themselves. So make certain that we are not misleading to a point where we got a bunch of return merchandise or critical phone calls. And that's why the clarity commandment is more significant now than ever before in marketing history. And whenever you are willing to put up with me to hear me talk, you will see the clarity commandment, because this to me is something that ought to be pasted on your keyboard and looked at as you write every word. When you choose words and phrases for forced communication, and that's the business we are in, forced communication, causing people to perform a positive act as the direct result of exposure to our message. When you choose words and phrases for forced communication, clarity is paramount. Don't let any other component of the communications mix interfere with it. I'm emphasizing that point because of all the things, blather, I might give you this evening. That's the one that I think can do you the most good for the next 30 or 40 years, plus 6 months. I wonder what I'm stepping on here is my cane. Maybe God is telling me something. Is there a reason for misspellings? We all get mailings like this. The answer is yes, there is. It says, by this, yeah. Are these people functionally illiterate? Many of our competitors are, thank goodness. People who can't tell the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U''R-E should be thrown under a bus. But this is on purpose to avoid spam filters. In my opinion, we're at the end of the year 2009. It's 2 years out of date. Spam filters flourished for a moment there like some weed growing. It's no longer a major factor. Don't be scared by antique notions. Leave obfuscation to the pedants. This cartoon says, excuse me, sir, we don't say dead gangster anymore. He's an existentially challenged member of a non-legal community. And really what this represents is a way of putting things where you appeal to one person and turn away another. What we want, and there's a simple rule for it, we want to appeal to the most people, and we don't stop there. See, that's Madison Avenue. We want the most people, cost per thousand. No, we don't. We want the most people who can and should respond to whatever it is that we're offering, whether it's a product, a service, or an inquiry. Dog-stained glass clocks. Who wants a dog-stained clock? Now, somebody got paid for that. This is why we should feel pretty good about ourselves. I hope they're giving a discount on that. When your target's first reaction is, you should know your message is less than professional. Carolina homestay, serving children to the, oh boy, to the elderly. Give me a nice plump one. The point I make to you is we call this a profession. I would point out to you also that there is another profession which they call the world's oldest, and we don't want to be part of that. What's wrong with this email, other than the fact that this woman seems to have hip dysplasia? What it is it's unclear. These people never heard of the clarity commandment. Oh, what matters is art direction. No, it doesn't. We all in this business have had a great number of experiences in which an underproduced message has outpulled an overproduced message where the attention is to the wrong element. The attention then is to production rather than to information. That's not what we do. We inform in a message in a manner that's the most profitable for ourselves. Opinion, please. What is this? The deal of the day? And it starts with the wrong day of the week. The whole thing is rather confusing. And you know what people have in their hand? This. That ugly monster, the mouse. And they do this, and they're gone. And we don't want that to happen to us. Now, here's a thing that came in supposedly from Russia, an email. And it's full of strange terms and so on, but when you click, it says, we can dispatch your spam on 1 million emails. And here's their rate, going up to 300 million emails. Now, maybe you have the same situation I do, in which you get the same message day after day after day. And you say, what the? Somebody has bought a list, and they've been promised X number of exposures. And there are only 50 people who get this. So 50 people get this 300 times, or something like that. That's not good marketing. And the list companies, of course, are the ones responsible for that. And this is the kind of thing that comes out of there. And you will get offers saying 3 million names, $50 or whatever. Beware, please. If Michelangelo were painting today, the recipient of that message down here, as you'll see, would be a cell phone in the ear. Because that's the way people do it. They don't just drive with it. As you're talking to them, there's a cell phone in the other ear. And the one you're talking to, you're lucky the one that has a hearing aid. All right, what are these people selling? Add automated campaigns to your marketing mix risk-free. Okay, how do I do that? Oh, we have to tell you that too? This is what's wrong with so many messages. They leave you dangling, and as you dangle, you click away. Remember John Caples? I'm sure those of you who are students of copywriting will know that he wrote the most famous line of advertising ever in the history of advertising. They laughed when I sat down at the piano. People are still using that today, some 80 years later. They laugh when I said I was making money in this market. It's John Caples' ad. Somebody leaned on him for a contemporary idea. Now, please, I beg you, avoid these cliches in forced communication. That's our business, forced communication. It's not a two-way street, it's a one-way street. We are the drivers. Our hands are on the steering wheel. We do not need a co-driver. So we are in command. We check and assure the message. Don't use the word quality or service or value, because those don't mean anything at all. Quality has no quality, service does not serve, and value has no value. And you've got a mailing where you'll find quality, service, and value. So what? What matters is what the offer truly is. Don't say needs as a noun. I call that yellow pages copy. For all your insurance needs, well, what are they? Tell me the specific, and I may give you a phone call. Remember, what's more, so-and-so means business. Back in the old days when we used slides instead of PowerPoint, I had 2 full carousels, 80 frames each, 80 slides each, of so-and-so means business. When it comes to, we all do this, but let's not do it in public where we are being judged by the messages that we create. The telling difference between semi-effective copy and effective copy: specifics outpull generalizations. That's another thing you might want to put on your keyboard. Specifics outpull generalizations. So you won't hear these words during this diatribe. You will not hear me use the word paradigm. In fact, if I'm in an audience and a speaker uses that word, I hope I'm sitting near the door. Proactive. Is there such a thing as an anti-active? It's a win-win. So you see these things all the way. This is our game plan. Golly gee willikers, 24/7. I'm sorry, but I only work 14 hours a day. We're on the fast track. Customer-centric. What does that mean? At the end of the day, that's where we are right now, so don't judge me by that. Core competency. Now, I turned that phrase over to the CIA, and with their usual efficiency, they couldn't decode it either. Think outside the box. No, I'd rather be inside this box. Knowledge-based. We're on the same page. You won't hear them from me. I hope nobody will hear them from you. Don't use things like, oh, I went too far. Act now. See your Toyota dealer today. And those commercials usually come on around 11:30 at night. So how am I going to see? I got half an hour. I better get out of here. Oh my God, I haven't got any clothes on. Southwest Airlines means business. The email marketplace of 2010 is far more brutal than it was even a few years ago. I'm using 2010 because we are there, and many of the things we write tonight will not appear until 2010. And we have to think in terms of where we are, not where we were. That's the difference between the 21st century and the 20th century. First of all, there are multiple media availabilities to us. We might want to go online. We might want to go with traditional media, such as direct mail or print or broadcast. There are a lot of options open to us. Which one will bring us the most response? Second, there's abuse by so many emailers. The whole medium itself is at stake here because there are so many phonies using it. Third, there's wild competitive growth. You can become an effective, really, email marketer operating out of your hat, which means that many people invade our sacred turf, and they should not be there. And wild competitive claims. We're going to have, your prostate will shrink to 1/20th of an inch. The beautiful girl next door will be knocking on your door and, saying, yeah, where's my rent? While we are considering media, do blogs and social media are exploding. Every day there's a new one. Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, Twitter, do they pay off at a cost or return ratio competitive with email? Well, let's take a look, because sometimes we get caught up in the glamour of something and we lose our own perspective, and that's simply not good business practice. Users offer this counter-argument. Measuring sales is just one criterion of return on investment. You bet it is. And whatever staggers into second place is way down. But I'll qualify that as an opinion. Awareness is just as significant. Give social media ample time to build for effectiveness to be a competitive factor. Do you agree with that? As you've already gathered, I don't. But you are free, obviously, to draw your own conclusions based on your own results. And as the results come in, you may find them saddening if you have become enamored of something with that philosophy that's derailed a lot of people, and that is that which is different equals that which is good. That which is different may be better than that which is good, but it may also be inferior. And that's why we are out there testing rather than accepting blindly. There's a pro here. Social media are one-to-one, and customers become direct salespeople. On the con side, we lose control. Twitter has already proved that for us. The inmates can run the asylum. And a lot of companies are losing business because they have opened their gates. Incidentally, again, a matter of personal prejudice with Twitter. I don't like the word follower. I don't want to be somebody's follower. It sounds like somebody is dripping dung in front of them. And the phony pitch becomes obvious. If you look at these things, I'm going to go through them faster than maybe I should, but they're just examples. You will see the sequence here. Clutter leads to chaos, which leads to skepticism, which leads to rejection. That is a natural progression. It's especially a natural progression in an era in which people are exposed to so many conflicting claims in so many conflicting media by so many conflicting marketers. Welcome to Twitter Tools Review. This one is the Twitter traffic machine. The complete quote, the completely automated Twitter growth and money-making system for people that want, no, it's people who want. People aren't that's. Maybe Osama bin Laden is a that. We are who. To set up a system once, forget about it, and have it grow and make money every day. Incidentally, another point here, if you are using email as a marketing medium, do not use initial caps. It will cost you response, and we care about things that cost us response. And if you don't know what I mean by initial caps, ask Katie Yeagle. $250 to $873, double asterisk. $873 is quite a specific, but if you look at this, it's never explained. Nor is there a second reference to the double asterisk. Here is an early indication of a major marketing confusion that, well, I'm guessing is maybe 2 to 3 years away. It's a byline article in a trade magazine that many of us read, and it says Twitter allows marketers to intervene, Facebook doesn't, which means this is what I think. In the same magazine, same issue, the fundamentals of Facebook, with more than 250 million active users, Facebook is the largest and most popular social research, whatever that's, social network right now, making it a very valuable marketing tool. Is that really so? Find out for yourself. Because the gospel, as reported by someone who is himself or herself a convert, is not necessarily true gospel. Internet rumors can devour a reputation, says this guy, because he was damaged by the web or the access to it by people who have social media. An ancient bit of undeniable wisdom that more marketers should know. A crutch, and that's what these media are at this point. They are crutches. It helps you to win a race only if your competitors also are crippled. That's a piece of wisdom that I don't understand myself. Yes, I do. All right, simple psychology. Offer click here options repeatedly. It parallels the trial close of a conventional sales pitch. You're never quite sure when someone's going to say yes. And if you're in this business, you've had experience where sometimes saying click here way before you're finished with your sales argument sends response soaring upward. Give them that opportunity. That's the ancient rule. It goes back, I'll bet you, at least 75 to 100 years in direct mail. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you told them. And you're never quite sure where they say yes. But the one great rule of salesmanship is when the customer says yes, you say thank you and you get out of there. You go into a car dealer, and here's this kid who knows all the mechanics of it. He starts describing it, and you say, all right. He says, well, you'll be glad you did this because what you're going to get on this car, and he says, oh, and he begins to draw you away. When you say yes, they stop selling. So here is one that came out this summer. It says, if summer you want to stay cool, click here. Want cool cotton instead of sweaty synthetics? Of course you do. Click here, click here, click here. And wherever they click, then they're gone from you, but they've clicked in, not out. Can you sell directly from an email message? Of course you can. I'll tell you who does a better job of that than anybody in the U.S. Many of the catalogers in the U.K. who don't use catalogs anymore. They simply sell directly off an email. Yes, you can. To sell directly from an email, be certain you make ordering a no-brainer. Is this, there's the order, here's the order form. Is this too much? There's one way of finding out. You split your list halfway and see who brings you the most business. Now, everything on here is necessary if you're going to ship merchandise. But there's a way of getting it without having, oh my gosh. And sometimes somebody decides we need a password for an order. Oh, what am I ordering? Secret documents? What do you mean it's a pair of shoes from Zappos? I need a password? Don't do that. Make ordering as simple as you can, because the people online generally are as simple as you'll find. Why should a marketer offer free shipping for orders resulting from email solicitation, and they don't offer that in the printed catalog? The answer is that in the printed catalog, you are king. Online, your competitor is right there at your elbow. And you have bots, which are a shortage of robots, that will instantly bring up a bunch of competition who may offer the same thing at a cheaper price. But free shipping will outweigh those other items. You know the answer. All commercial email is competitive with all other commercial email. And I may be selling jackets, and you may be selling glasses. We are competitive with each other, because in this case, the medium really is the message. Which of these pulled better? 10% off or free shipping? There's no point showing that. You already know which one pulled better. You mean that free shipping is better than a discount? Yes. First of all, it's clearer. Secondly, it's absolute. We can't set the rules, but we can certainly profit from them, because we are analytical enough to keep our own prejudices at bay while we make some marketing decisions. Here's an apparent and dangerous generalization. In a selling situation, imperative outpulls declarative. What does that mean? It means you tell them what to do. It's as simple as that. We don't just rhapsodize about what we're selling. We tell them what to do. They are our willing victims, or they wouldn't be there in the first place. It's their fault for buying a computer, not ours. For business-to-business email, always test text against a produced message. Now that, I grant you, is at variance with the people we pay a big buck to tell us stuff in words that we can't understand so that they can overproduce our message. But as often as not, text will outpull a produced message. Why? Because the point is made quicker and clearer. And we're coming up to Thanksgiving now, and for Thanksgiving it's already underway. We've proved that out year after year, selling flowers, that text will outpull the produced message. We can show them a whole bunch of pretty flowers, but if we show them a deal, they know what a rose looks like. They may not know what our deal is, but I propose to you that you test this, because results are all over the place. And no rule is absolute except as it applies to that deal at that time. A reason why we should be more humble than we are. Which of these pull better? Talk to me, do me a favor. How many think talk to me? I'll see a few hands. How many think talk to me pulled better? How many think do me a favor pulled better? Ah, as it turns out, you're right. Benjamin Franklin once said, if you want to make a friend, have him do something for you. Isn't that strange? But it's really the core of interpersonal relationships. because that is a more personal thing, really, and it makes the person who sees this feel that he or she is in command, depending on what that favor is. Gee, that was a nice favor. See, all these things come out with a nice violin background. What's good, and here's what's good and bad in emails and marketing medium. This says, "Hi, Herschel. While visiting one of our affiliate companies on the internet recently, you indicated you were interested in a home-based opportunity." Oh, I did? Now, the only home-based opportunity I can think of is obscene. But I don't think I want to share them with that. But that really is what's good and what's bad about our business. They take a very personal look, and some people will feel intruded upon. You never pull 100%. You take your best shot. Here's a typical email that's written to satisfy management, not the recipients. A crucial mistake. Credit. Now that's the name of this company, CREDT. You may have had this email come to you because they email in big chunks. What they are doing is exploiting their name. Nothing wrong with exploiting your name, provided the recipient doesn't think, well, this moron can't even spell their company name right. So be very cautious about worrying about you. Worry about them, those people out there, our lawful prey. Our newsletters, effective use of email. A lot of catalog emailers use the newsletter format as a stay-in-touch communication because they don't want to be sending catalogs out or be changing their website so frequently. The answer is there's a yay and a no, a nay. A newsletter is a porous email bandage, which is considerably less exciting than a one-to-one offer because building respect for the sender is not parallel to responding to an offer. And too much of what we see out there is based on corporate ego, in which the marketer wants respect. No, we don't. We want response. Both those words begin with R-E, but the value to us is light years in difference. The newsletter advantages are, first of all, there's some mild customer loyalty. Frequency has logic. There are many variations, such as jokes and surveys. The disadvantages are, first of all, it's a weak selling weapon. Second, selling is subordinated. Selling is subordinated. And third, there's that boredom factor, both internally and externally. And we've all seen newsletters that start out, wow-wee. By the third or fourth newsletter, the job is filtered down to someone very low on the corporate scale. And there's not much left to say. Oh my God, it's Thursday, we got to get this newsletter out. And nothing happens because there's no information left to transmit of value to the recipient. Always think in terms of the recipient with this glamorous new medium, which is our tool, our weapon. Should be. If you decide to use a newsletter to build your list or to be the carrier for your sales message, you must be certain the first item is exciting for the recipient. The first thing they see has to excite them. Is the first item in your newsletter an advertising message? Uh-oh, big mistake. Is the first item in your joke of the day, which also qualifies as a newsletter, the joke itself and not an advertising message? Uh-oh, once again, you have misunderstood the medium you are using. That's why we have to practice what we do as practitioners, not as students. Key point. Each format dictates a different psychology. Never send a message that's a total download with no upfront motivators, because 18 million people, used to be 30, will see this on the screen. Warning! If you don't know who sent you this email, be cautious in downloading this file. Now, I grant you, there's an old saying, what is the difference between America Online and a computer virus? And the answer is a computer virus works. Did you know adding the recipient's name to the subject line usually increases response if you have the machinery to do that? Whether HTML, illustration, flash, or straight text pulls best depends on individual and specific circumstances. And there's no point whatever in sending teaser email because your competitor is sending out an offer and you're not being competitive. We've already talked about this, an oddity worth testing. Moving click here up in the text usually increases response. In actual tests, text outpulled HTML when the message was urgency, HTML outpulled text when the message was artistry. What are you selling? How are you selling it? Make certain the message and the medium do match. Are banners a waste of money? Well, not if they're handled properly. An effective banner not only says, click me please, but also, and this is why you should. Before I show the next frame, this next one is because I was asked to do this, not by Katie and not by Denise, but several people who heard I was going to be exposing myself here said, are you going to have Mary Had a Little Lamb this year? And I said, had not planned it. I've done it for make it 4 years in a row. Okay, by unpopular demand. This is one of the worst examples I have ever had. I got it 4 years ago, and I've shown it before at boot camp. An email that says, subject, alter significantly the denudation of Panglossian corporate communications. Now, who can argue with that? Dear docent colleague, a malefactoring challenge entrepreneurial enterprises face today is multiple layer communication with a diverse and a diffuse geographically dispersed staff, to which the typical person says, huh. Now, my contribution to this, which has now become something of a ridiculous tradition, is the way this person would have written the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb. And this is assuming that my Alzheimer's is in remission. Mary had a little lamb regarding whose cuticular the fluff exterior was white and kinked in each particular. On each occasion when the lass would go a-gallivating, the little quadruped likewise was there perambulating. One day it did accompany her to the knowledge dispensary, which to all rules and precedents was recklessly contrary. Immediately whereupon the pedagogue superior, exasperated, did eject the lamb from the interior. Then Mary, on beholding such performance arbitrary, suffused her eyes with saline drops from glands called lacrimary. And all the students grew thereat tumultuously hilarious, and speculated on the case with wild conjectures various. What makes the lamb love Mary so, the students asked the teacher. She paused a moment, then she tried to diagnose the creature. Ah, pecus amarem Mary habet omnia temporum. Thanks, teacher dear, the scholars cried, and awe crept darkly o'er 'em. Gee. I'm glad I included that. On into the mix, a highly effective ploy, a first communication that suggests a prior inquiry. You consider it unethical. In 3 words, I don't care. Neither do you. That's 3 more words. Does it bring response without causing someone to get something or be sent something he or she really didn't want? Key question, what are you doing or including to maximize the capture of online addresses? Give them a reason to give you their online address. recognizing, please, that many of the online addresses are children. Many are people in the state penitentiary. Many are people who are just escaping from some caretaker who says, come back to bed, you nut. Forget using email as a branding procedure. Building respect for the sender is not parallel to generating response to an offer. You will hear me say that over and over again if we ever have another conversation, which you may want to avoid, by the way. Powerful rule, again, specifics outpull generalizations. Are you giving them specifics? Because email is today's most significant example of this rule. Benefit is not what it'll do. That's the seller. The seller's concern is what it will do. The sellee's concern is what will it do for me. And those can be vastly, vastly different. Tell them what it'll do, not what it'll do at all, what it'll do for them. I've sold a lot of computer software. I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. And when the builder or the manufacturer or the producer of that software says, don't you want to know more about it? No, I don't. I represent the sellee, not the seller. And the more technical I get, the more orders I suppress. I don't care what's in it. I care what it does. Tell your target individual what to do. The rule of negative subtlety is 100% valid in email communications. And that rule is an obvious rule. The effectiveness of a forced communication message decreases in direct ratio to an increase in subtlety. In 3 more words, subtlety doesn't work. I love it. I love being able to sneak up on somebody. But it doesn't work. We're in their universe. We're on their turf. We write what they want, not what we want. That really is the difference between the amateur or the dilettante and the professional copywriter. So load your subject line with rhetorical dynamite, but don't assume you can get away with blather. Always send yourself a sample message. You'll get something like this otherwise. It says, dear dollar first name dollar. I was just reviewing our client list when suddenly a vision flashed into my mind's eye. Notice there's no apostrophe in minds, which means this person may have multiple minds, which means it's a schizophrenic. And on he went. I nearly dropped my cup of tea. Yeah, right. Dollar, first name, dollar. At these times, what happened was this is a code that didn't take. Had this individual or this company just sent one in-house, this stupidity would not have been publicized. Did they pay for this list? Dear Herschel G. Lewis, are stretch marks an embarrassing thing for you to deal with? Well, the answer is, yeah, it depends whose they are. I'm not going to get hit with a paternity suit here, am I? Did you know, if your offer is stated clearly before scrolling down, you will increase response? You too. An all caps message does not pull as well as standard caps and lowercase, and please avoid initial caps. Free, free, free is a transparent pitch. One free has that marvelous word, verisimilitude, the appearance of truth. Please, 1 punctuation mark. That's plenty. Don't get shrill. That betrays your frantic approach to which people do not respond except negatively. If you address your target by first name, be very sociable, because otherwise they will think you're invading, again, their privacy. Whenever possible, test an action or deadline subject line against a play on words. I have yet to have a personal circumstance in which a play on words outpulled an action deadline or headline, but that's entirely up to you. Email is the only medium in which the approach, it's important to me, so it's important to you, is a valid marketing ploy, but only if it is properly used. Why? because email is the ultimate one-to-one arm around the shoulder medium. Rapport. That's the key. Can you establish rapport? That's the key to response and also to fewer opt-outs. Opt-outs have become epidemic. How do we replace these people? By spending a lot more money. Is that good business practice? It may sometimes be the only business practice if the way you offer something results in repeated opt-outs. So in an email message, I is infinitely superior to we. They are both first person, but first person singular usually will outpull first person plural. Viral marketing, that is somebody telling somebody else about what you've offered. It tends to work when the message recipient recognizes a pass-along benefit. For example, thank you, Herschel, it says. Your order has been submitted. By the way, there should be a comma after you, and the word you should be in lowercase. But you see, this is my problem of being a customer rather than a vendor. Your order has been submitted, your confirmation number, and there's an impossible set of numbers, and special announcement and so on. Know a friend or family member who takes supplements. So here's a chance to recommend somebody else for the same phony deal. Notice this opt-in technique. The email says special offer, world famous designer briefcase, only $9.90. You may have gotten this one, by the way. A Tribeca briefcase. They spelled Tribeca wrong, I think quite on purpose, to avoid being sued by the people who own that name. And you can own this and so on. And you click and you get this. The click brings up your email address. That's all you have to give them is the email address. Not your home address, not your phone number, not vital information, not a password. They want to get at you. Give us something so we can keep hammering away at you. And that in turn brings this up. And here's the briefcase. If you click through and don't order, and you get this, thanks for visiting our site. Here's the information on the designer briefcase. They go back at you again because you're never quite sure when someone's going to say yes. And if you already said yes, you don't get these screens. It's as simple as that. Did you know that sending direct mail, which we now call snail mail, to opt-outs will pull considerably better than the same mailing to demographically parallel individuals? What's the significance of that fact? The fact is that the more names we have, the better we do, even if we lose them online. Because that is a tested and proved fact, at least at the last quarter of the year 2009. If we have that information, we had them once and they disappeared. Or we almost had them. They disappeared at checkout, which we'll come to in about 2 seconds here. Sending them snail mail will resuscitate some of these people. Here's a survey by a company called McPherson Associates. Friday emails are the most opened, they say, because Friday is relatively low. 14.3% of emails are sent on Friday, 24.5% on Tuesday. Sunday has low open rates, but the highest click-through rates. That makes sense, too, because people tend to have more time on Sunday. This survey may or may not be valid for you. We are just now reaching a point in which any survey in the world of email has any validity at all, because oftentimes they were guesses based on responders who did not typify the universe out there. That is the curse under which we tend to operate. If you follow up email with telemarketing, call within 2 days of sending the email. Typical conversation. Oh, Mr. Brown, did you get our email? He can be looking at it. He'll say no. That is absolutely the knee-jerk response. No, I didn't. And then you got him. Oh, my gosh, that's terrible. Get to your computer. I'm going to resend that right now, and I will call you back to make sure you got this email. You see how you have turned that into your advantage. That's what we are. We are puppet masters. This is so true. And how unknown to non-web creative teams. It's an ad in a trade magazine. Build a great site, and they will come. Make them wait 8 seconds, and they will leave. And it's as simple as that. And it must follow as the night, the day. You will then be a success or a flop. Okay, couple of quick rules of Internet copy, then you guys can have dinner. The first rule of Internet copy. Copy length usually is not a factor. Substantial copy length within a single copy block is a negative factor. So that means you don't say, do you want that? Then do this. You say, want that? Do this. Because the more terse we are, provided we're not insulting, the more likely we are to crack that apathy barrier. Second rule, with every headline, with every sentence, you ask yourself, if I were reading this instead of writing it, would my interest level stay high? The third rule, don't be afraid to sell. That's what we are. We are salespeople. I can't tell you how many people in our profession are insulted to be called salespeople. Malarkey. Count the number of organizations in which the salespeople make more money than the CEO. And that's the way it should be. Fourth rule, subject to the first rule about copy length, it can be expand in ratio to the amount of promise it makes because you're more likely to hold people there. And the fifth rule, announcements can't compete with salesmanship. Technical expertise can't compete with salesmanship. Gadgetry cannot compete with salesmanship. We are salespeople. If we act like that, response will go up. When response goes up, we have a client or we have a job. Strong ways of assuring yourself of revisits. First of all, frequent changes of your offer, because some people are there every day. Some people are there 4 or 5 hours a day. Second, bonuses for repeat visits or orders, and sprightly text or context. Contests can cost you money. People tend to default into contests because someone said that's a great way to build response. But what you will often find is if you build your list out of contests, when you quit offering something for nothing, these people disappear forever in favor of somebody else who offers something for nothing. It's not a good way to build a list. Would you say this homepage is too busy? I would. I love the stores, but I do not like that homepage. Here's it says flea and tick sale. Now, if I were that dog, I wouldn't answer it. Where is somebody looking at this stuff? That's why some of these companies should have an ombudsman. Not a proofreader. There's nothing wrong here other than it's a stupid message. Would you say this homepage is too busy? I wouldn't say it's too busy, but the personal touch, which is too often missing, is there. But, warning, your first-time visitor has the attention span of a gnat. So you can't just deal in art direction. You have to deal in communication. That's what we get paid for. Capitalize on this truism. The web is price-driven. You may object to that, but look at your own reactions. The web is price-driven. Is this an email or a web page? So what? It could be either one. That's the direction we are taking. Bots will expose comparative prices. Here's a bunch of stuff here. Take another look to see the comparisons. It's a Cuisinart. And if we go down here, we see that the best price is at Costco. They're about $10 cheaper than anybody else. Oh, now we go down here, the shipping charge. $17.24. And oftentimes, especially if you get with YouBid or one of those bid online things, 99 cents. Shipping charge $9. Wait a minute. I'm going to spend $10 to ship something that cost me 99 cents? That's insulting. Is it? Sure it is. But that's the game of gotcha, and they depend on percentages. Good ideas. Change your offer often. Daily is not too often. Don't use the company logo as the key to the home page. On the screen we say why, but you know why. Offer a terrific deal immediately. No direct exit from a deep screen. Once you've got them clicking in, you can let them come back to the home page, but you don't let them out until at least after they've crossed past the home page again. Poor ideas, emphasizing the company's history on the home page. Who cares other than people in the office? As an opener, a message from our chairman. See, that'll satisfy his ego. It will not satisfy the people at your receiver's auction when they get rid of your assets. Philosophy rather than a hard offer. Employee of the month, meaningless. Customer of the month, you've got a convert there who will love you forever. The need for external media promotion for your site increases in ratio to 4 factors. Direct competition, total number of websites, the volume of site advertising and media, and your valid claims of uniqueness. Okay, some real quickies here, and then we'll get out of here. Email catechism. Make a clear offer. That's number 1. Number 2, make your offer fast. Number 3, make your offer timely. Number 4, make your offer unique to you. And number 5, make your offer relevant to the recipient. That's all there is to it. Simple? Yes. Then why is it ignored by so many people in our business? Answer, they don't know what we in this room know. Here we're sitting with 300 competitors, but everybody in this room knows what a lot of people out there, some of whom make a pretty good living as phonies, they don't know that. They are about to learn because email is becoming the dominant medium. And when you recognize the dominant medium, you have to work within that medium. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you are going to fail because somebody who's competing with you will know what he or she is doing. Where are some quick and specific reasons to buy this book? Here's a book. How top HR leaders earn their reputations as highly value business partners. Another, huh? Where is our ombudsman? For that matter, for this, where's our proofreader? This email asks for a click down here. It says, click here now. Oh, all right, okay, yes, yes. You click, and that brings that up. Huh? All right, I'll click again. This is the next 3 frames in a scroll. All the way down, you get that. You get this. You get this. You get that. Enough already. Who designed this? Somebody who is in love with his own creation. Don't play Pygmalion. Not in this business. Your typical reader, your typical person looking at the screen has the attention span of a gnat. Probably the brain pan, too. Brevity is the soul of wit. Look at this message. Who's supposed to read that? Good heavens. Remember where you are and observe 3 crucial rules. First, cater. Cater to a short attention span. Number 2, simplify response. It's not tough. It's easy, folks. That's what you tell them. Emphasize the value of a quick reply. All these things should strike you as being primitive. Yes, they are. If they're primitive, why do so many practitioners ignore them? They don't recognize what the value is of being primitive. They try to sophisticate the offer. In doing so, they drive prospective responders away. Are you using dictatorial imperatives? Stop. Don't say avoid. Don't say claim. Don't say increase, and don't start your selling argument with a word don't. That Hitlerian approach no longer works. Arm around the shoulder does work. We tell them what to do, but we don't issue a stark command. In email, time is not on your side. You grab the visitor, you shake the visitor right now. That's all there is to it. How simple can it be? So why do so many people not know this? I'm glad they don't. Warning, responders disappear at checkout. A study constructed by Kefta, Inc., which is a San Francisco company, says between half and 90% of orders placed in a shopping cart are abandoned before checkout. That is criminal. It's also true, and every one of us in this room, I'm sure, has had this identical experience when we wanted to buy something and something turned us off right at the moment of truth. How dreadful can that be? You want to rescue 15 to 20% of those people? Tell them, hold it. Here's an extra private discount for you. And that is in keeping with the medium. And they may stop there. Some may not, but some will. And one benefit that we have in this glamorous new medium is we have a way of keeping score, because we can tell who's there and who isn't. Potentially valuable option. Say, why? Why do we want this special offer for you? Because we love you, and we want you to love us. So click here to take another look and get your extra discount. And that works. We say it here cynically. But cynicism should disappear when we're comparing means of generating response. The benefit of questions? Questions automatically involve the other party. When you're out of ideas, when the muse is not resting on your shoulder, oh God, it's Friday, and it's late afternoon, and I got a day, I'll ask a question. Good. Questions automatically involve the other party. Last items here. A dozen implicitly weak words and phrases. These are weak words. Avoid them if you can. Administration. Approximately. Define. Your accountant may say we have to define the problem. You're not an accountant, you're a salesperson. You don't want to define it, you want to solve the problem. Earn, horrible word. Facilitate. Features. Formulate. Indeed. There's another one, they sit next to somebody at a dinner party and that person starts sentences with the word indeed. You want to shift over to the next seat. Needs is a noun, product, respond, and a worst four-letter word in our lexicon, W-O-R-K. So what does work? Free. Free gift. I know free gift is a redundancy, but we don't care. We're not that analytical. We know that those two words in concert do work well together. Limited time. Right now. Surprise. Hot. Hot works, cold doesn't. Not sold in stores, which may be a negative, but you make a positive out of it. First time offered. Good only until whatever the date is. Don't miss out. I'll look for your offer. Try it at our risk. And I thank you for trying this at my risk. Thank you.